There's been a lot of doom and gloom among major motorcycle manufacturers lately, what with KTM's financial troubles and Harley-Davidson's disappointing sales numbers and profits. So it's nice to see that Triumph at least is crushing records and far surpassing its sales expectations. And this is one of the times where I get to say I told you so, and I never miss an opportunity to do that. You see, about 5 years ago, as the pandemic was just beginning, I put out a video titled Harley Fails While Triumph Succeeds, where I went over the things that I saw the front office of Triumph do right while also criticizing Harley brass for making critical mistakes in strategy that would lead to a continuing long-term decline in sales. That is still my second highest viewed video of all time. Check it out in the top right corner. And having recently rewatched this video, it is as true today as it was 5 years ago when it first aired. Triumph keeps on innovating and growing its customer base, including young riders, while Harley-Davidson keeps doubling down on ever more expensive baggers for old dudes as its sales and profits drop from year to year. It must be noted that at the time I made that video, Harley-Davidson was still selling over 200,000 motorcycles every year, while Triumph sales were just a bit below 60,000. It seemed inconceivable that that gap could be closed, and many Harley supporters made fun of me in the comments for even mentioning an upstart like Triumph next to an iconic company like Harley-Davidson. Well, in 2024, Harley moved 151,229 bikes, while Triumph had a smoking hot year, exceeding sales expectations with 134,635 units sold. Even I didn't foresee Triumph being within 11% of passing the motor company in half a decade. And yes, I know that Harleys are more expensive and have larger margins, but Triumphs aren't cheap either, and although the Triumph name dates back to 1901, the current company basically started from zero in the 90s. To almost pull even with a 120-year-old brand like Harley in 34 years is an accomplishment. How did they do it, and what can Harley-Davidson learn from all of this? Stay tuned, and if you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and sharing it with friends. First, let me say that I like both companies' bikes. Harleys aren't everyone's cup of tea, but I can appreciate them for their beauty and road presence, while Triumph seems to produce a bike for everyone these days. And that perhaps is the primary reason for the company's success. When Triumph was revived in the early 90s, it could have just built Bonnevilles and tried to cash in on its past, but instead, it focused on building modern 3-cylinder engines and started producing internationally competitive adventure and sport tours, pioneering naked bikes with the excellent Speed Triple, and giving a nod to the past with the 3-cylinder 900cc Thunderbird line that looked classic but packed modern performance. I used to drool over the Thunderbird Sport back in the day. And the thing was that Triumph was competitive with the Japanese and Euro brands on performance and price, while offering a unique 3-cylinder experience that combined elements of twin and 4-cylinder motors. It wasn't until later that it decided to hop on the nostalgia bandwagon and bring back the Bonneville, which has since expanded to its own line of bikes, including several popular scramblers. These are now air-cooled, powerful, wheel-handling, and superbly finished motorcycles which still manage to retain elements of the look of Triumph's past. And of course, Triumph has since created a sport bike line in the Daytonas, built a truly off-road capable line of Tiger adventure bikes while also establishing itself back in sport touring with the Tiger 660 and the 800, added a new low-cost beginner option with their 400 singles, and even gotten into the dirt bike thing with a serious first effort. Yes, the Bonnevilles are cool bikes, but they do not define Triumph, and the company is just as well known for the Tigers and Street Triples as for the Bonnies. Harley, on the other hand, decided to lean heavily into the heritage and nostalgia side of the equation in the early 80s by completely ignoring the Japanese and Euro brands. It went its own way, and after weathering tough times, hit a wave in the 90s and early 2000s that took it all the way up to 350,000 units sold in 2006. So in a way, that was a good call. Harley became known as a producer of heavy American cruisers and occasionally ventured into unfamiliar territory. Here's the thing though, those forays always seemed half-hearted. The dealers didn't really push the technology, they knew where their bread was buttered. And the Porsche-designed V-Rod engine was great, but instead of putting it into an adventure bike or sport tourer, Harley just stuck it into a drag bike that was not good at going around corners. The company tried to start an entry-level line with the streets, but ended up producing substandard motorcycles which were no match for bikes like the Honda Rebels they competed with. And again, they were cruisers, but cruisers that did not look, sound, or feel like the genuine article. Harley-Davidson finally did something different with the Pan America by producing a non-cruiser that was competitive on performance and price with other bikes in its class. The care that went into this product shines through. But because the brand is known for cruisers, not many ADV riders shop for Pan Americas. One problem is the Harley-only dealerships. ADV riders are generally hanging out at the multi-brand dealership and may not even think of going into a Harley dealer to look at an ADV offering. And the Harley guys who see the Pan Ams at the Harley dealer may not be interested in that type of bike. Harley may have pigeonholed itself into being associated with one type of motorcycle, which makes it harder to diversify. And another thing about those Harley guys is that they're getting older. Young riders may be interested in Harleys, especially in the middle states of the US, but with today's prices of Harleys as well as everything else being inflated to the max, they're mostly buying used and private sale where the deals are to be had. Triumph, on the other hand, has some fairly reasonably priced bikes in its lineup sold alongside their expensive options. The Speed 400 costs $5,800 US, while the Nightster, the least expensive Harley, costs $10,500. Now the 400 Triumphs are produced in India, which is why the price is so good, but those bikes are fantastic looking and handling and have performance that is close to segment leaders like the KTM 390 Duke and Kawasaki Z500. Plus, the Speed 400 offers some cool retro style. Harley has a bike like that, the X440, also built in India, and by all reports also a nice bike. However, the difference between it and the Speed 400 is that the Speed 400 resembles classic British bikes in its style and size, while the X440 doesn't look, sound, or feel like the old-time Harleys. It looks like a small modern bike with some cool retro touches. You see, the all-British bikes were small. The Royal Enfield Bullet 350 is the oldest and longest running model in all of motorcycling, and it and its variants do resemble the original pretty closely. But Harleys were always big and are defined by their V-twins. That's the problem with relying on heritage. Once you're committed, you can't veer away very far. You can see a young rider getting a Speed 400 and eventually moving up to a Bonnie or Tiger, but does the X440 lead to a Softail or a Street Glide? Even if the X440 was brought to North America and Europe, which it hasn't been yet, it doesn't resemble the classic Harley cruisers because big size and torque are a part of the Harley experience. And so, are Triumph sales going to surpass Harley in 2025? If the current trajectory continues, it should happen this or next year. And this is a result of a company with a classic name concentrating on building modern performance motorcycles first and going back to its roots later. I like walking into a Triumph dealer and looking at the Bonneville line, but I also like seeing street triples and Tridents, Tiger 900 adventure bikes, Tiger 660 sport tours, scramblers, and even MX bikes with the Triumph badge. These guys know modern motorcycling trends and produce segment competitive machines everywhere. The Tiger 1200 rocks. Harley, on the other hand, sticks to what they know. They did do a great job with the Pan America design and now have a sport tourer version as well, and I hope they can build more Rev Max bikes to take on the world. If they are ever to regain their former reach and glory, they have to be a modern manufacturer of a variety of motorcycles with price and performance competitive adventure, sport touring, naked, and off-road offerings. And also a Softail and bagger line. Like it or not, the number of people interested in big American cruisers is shrinking, and many of the ones who want them can't afford to buy new. At this point, I suspect that both companies' trajectories will continue. Triumph might even make a play for being the largest European manufacturer in not too long. I believe KTM and BMW are the current leaders. And I know that it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but I did predict this 5 years ago. Maybe you agree and have something to contribute, or perhaps you disagree and want to point out all the ways in which I'm full of it. Either way, I welcome your thoughts in the comments below. So thanks for watching, ride safe, check out some of these other videos which may be of interest to you, and as always, may the spokes be with you.